Miss
Hello,
Terri.
hello. How are you? Oh my
I'm doing
gosh.
so well. I'm doing so well.
Great. Me too.
How's your week been? We're kind of
Yeah,
recording on the beginning of a weekend, which is new for us.
I know. Absolutely. The week was good. I mean, I'm still trying to remember what day of the week it actually is.
You said, what happened this week? Do you know?
Are we still in it? I mean,
Yeah. Time
it's
isn't
been a busy
real.
week.
No, I'm just kidding.
No, it has been a great week. And they usually are, but it's a busy week. Busy week.
hmm Well, and there's
And
a lot of everyone's kind of frazzled, that back to school energy. Everyone's like
yes,
trying to get adjusted. I feel that very, very strongly.
absolutely. Yes, it's like Black Friday in the supply aisles. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't want to be here. I don't care if I need a pen. I'll get it later.
That's so true.
It's yeah, very
Well,
interesting.
last week we were talking
Mhm.
about dreams and the dreamscape, and we kind of wound up ending it sort of talking about some of the cautions about, all the lucid dreaming, all the astral travel. But we kind of
Right.
touched on this concept or this idea of spiritual first aid.
Yeah.
And I'm very curious what you mean by that. And you always coin the best phrases, so I'm so
Well, you'll
interested.
see. We'll do our best. Well,
Yes.
it's very interesting because where that little phrase came from actually was a client of mine. She usually has energy in her house and she likes to be, on the text messages to let me know right then and there we've got to get it fixed. And so that to me is kind of like the 911 call from her. And so we were just chatting about some of those adventures. And she said, you need to have a class on like first aid for people like me. And I thought, brilliant. I love that. It makes a lot of sense, actually. And I've decided not only am I going to teach a class about it, but I'm going to teach a book. I'm going to write a book about it. That's my goal anyway. We'll see.
I
I've got so
love
many other
that.
book ideas. We'll see. But, I'm still trying to get through the last 6 books. So, but more than anything, what we're really driving home at is that sometimes we get in situations as we grow and we know and we, get more involved in the studies of, of being awakened or whatever the term will be for you or, for the listeners. We recognize that we've got things that come up that we just don't know what to do with. It's kind of like if you look at it from the simpleness of if you're home and you spilled, I don't know, coffee all over your white shirt. Oh my gosh, we'd be Googling to see what to clean it up with, right? We would know that we needed to get it fixed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we find that there are similar things, not so much about spilled coffee, but similar actions in the spiritual world that sometimes cause us a little fear, a little trepidation, a little anxiety, a little unknown territory. So how cool would it be to actually formulate kind of like some list of these are the things you're going to experience at some point. Let's give you a little feedback now so you're prepared.
Mm-hmm. And do you feel that as a practitioner and a life coach and, an intuitive, do you feel that it's built in almost in what you do, regardless if that's your intention, as far as, leave them better than we found them on some level?
Oh, absolutely. It's really hard for me when someone asks for help for me not to at least try to do whatever I can, even if I have no time, because we recognize the vulnerability that we feel when we have a situation that just seems like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And so, yes, I do feel that it's built in. Again, anyone that's, empathic is going to feel that vibration coming from other people. And most people will want to at least give some kind of food for thought.
Mm-hmm.
So I do feel it's kind of built in.
What do you think are the top, if we think first aid,
Mhm.
and like, what are the most common spiritual injuries that you see, like the equivalent of a broken leg or a broken arm, like pretty normal? You see them, and everyone has the opportunity to have that type thing.
Well, absolutely. And the thing that we have to also be reminded of is that we look at these as injuries, but it's more of how do they see them?
Mm-hmm.
Is it injurious to them? It might be something very simple to me or to you, oh my God, I've got 4 flies in my window and now I'm falling apart because I believe that the demons are chasing me around my living room.
Right.
So some of it is not so, fear mongering as other things, but that's the hardest part of this is what is, the 911? What is that call that just has to be answered in the moment? What is it? Well, I always look at it as a safety issue. If you feel unsafe, then we need to get you to a feeling of being more safe, and how better to do that. It's interesting because I had two just really last night and today. I had two instances of that when one woman heard an incredible sound in her house, this loud bang, and it knocked a fan over in her son's room. And so she wanted to know, Terri, this is kind of like first aid. Where are we going here? What is this? Well, again, being in the field of study that we're in, we can't just go, oh my gosh, you've got, 4 different poltergeists and 3 different, demonic presence and 2 alien.
Right.
We have to be realistic about what it could be. So I said, okay, well, first, do you have gas? We want to make sure we're not in a situation where you do need to be on the other side of the wall, outside. Do you have gas? Usually gas explosions will be on the outside of the house, and if it's going to rock your world, you'll know it. It's not going to be a fan. It's going to be the house. So chances are, no, if you don't have gas, you're probably safe. So then it could be just pressure in the pipes. So you have to have just a little bit of knowledge about a lot of little things, right? But even
because
then,
you're right. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
We don't know what we don't know. So sometimes it's like, I don't know.
And it might really be a thing of the physical, like you said, and it's a little bit. We got to be careful to not just jump to it's got to be metaphysical.
That's exactly right. We have to look at it from all angles. And so again, I have a busy schedule, so I couldn't, really give a lot of time to that particular question other than the basics. It's not this, it's not that. It was obviously, you heard something. It could be a poltergeist. If we're going back to the spiritual side of things, it could be a poltergeist. Well, then what do I do if it is? Well, simply, I always say, state your business. If I'm going to be in a situation where I feel uncomfortable in my own home, I'm going to say, state your business. What do you need? And if I'm not getting what I believe to be an answer, then I just clear it. And so clearing different, the techniques, we don't have to break out every block of sage or Palo Santo. We can, do some basic things to clear as we're heading out the door to go to work, right?
And that would be episode 19, if you guys would like to understand how to keep a tidy space and the ways that you can clear energy.
I love it. Yes, it would. 19. I like the number 19. It adds up to 1, and I
think,
like
or
that
maybe
number.
It's 20. It's 19 or 20, guys. I'm sorry.
Well, that's okay. Watch them both, and you make a decision. I love it. So that's kind of a first aid question. Okay, I'm going to give you my own example of a first aid question. And this is something that happened last night. So this morning I dealt with someone who had, again, am I in danger? Well, intuitively I don't feel so, but we need to make sure the environmental conditions are safe, right? Because I don't work for the gas company. I'm not a plumber, and I don't work in that kind of environment if it's organic. I don't know what it would be. So last night, which was curious, I had an opportunity to take a nap. AKA my husband was snoring really loud in the other room, and I had to get up real early this morning, and I had no sleep the night before.
Oh, no.
So got to take a nap in the spare room, right? Well, this room is known for a lot of noise. And so I go in the room.
Hallway.
Yeah, and so about 3 o'clock, it was actually 2:46. I know exactly, because I had my Fitbit on. I was like, it's 2:46. But it was like someone was like playing in my closet there. I have 2 doors to the closet. And it was like trying to open the door. And it kept just making sounds. Like, I'm going to open the door, I'm going to open the door, I'm going to open the door. And so it woke me up. And of course, I did what rational people do. I didn't go running and screaming down the hall. Okay. I looked first and went, okay, no cat there. So my cat's not trying to open the doors. Okay, good. My other cat is on the bed. Let me get up and see where Dante is, my other cat. Everyone is safe and sound, and nobody is at my door on my closet. And it was just loud. It was loud. And I said, cut it out now, because I'm serious. You should hear me. When I'm tired, you better be careful. And it kept doing that. So I could have made a decision to fight it out state your business. Now I'm going to go clear you at now 3 o'clock in the morning and do that till 4 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, I cried uncle. I said, I will figure you out tomorrow, but by then you better be gone.
That's amazing.
And I took my favorite pillows, and I grabbed my cat. Vita was like, "What? I like it here." Even though she was staring at the closet, waiting for something to pop out, like Jack in the Box. And I went back to bed in the other room where all the thunder and lightning was, from the snoring. My husband will just die of embarrassment. I'll have to remember, what is this, episode 24? We just watched
22.
22. We stay away from 22.
No, that's your birthday.
No, that's true. It is. So my point being in all that storyline is that, we do have to make decisions as far as what the first aid's going to look like. And we can't jump to conclusions. We can't turn it into something that, we go running and screaming. I've seen people leave their homes and go stay at a hotel over something like that. And I'm like, come on, take authority over your own home. You've got to stand firm. Now, I'm not saying, that every time you hear a noise, it's a ghost. Don't get me wrong. There may have been someone hiding in my closet, but I already knew better. Because I'm not stupid enough to do that. I open my closet doors and go, nobody's here. I close it before I go to bed. Have it. So
it's
that's
one of those
an example.
Things. And with your point of if there was a checklist that you run through, right? Like stop, drop, and roll. But there is a reality here as well. And I'll say this every episode if it comes up. But the reality is we are soul-bearing, God-given soul-bearing individuals in this physical plane. This is our playground. And we are not only protected by certain rules of that, but we're also the more powerful. And that's why any of these energies are interested in coaxing us, tricking us to give it up. Is because we do actually have I would say exponentially more sway in the third and fourth dimension than anything that lives there. And so if you're sitting in your bed like you were, if you leave your house and that's not barring like there's a demon right there and all your TVs are shattered, then that's like that's a little bit
different story.
Incredibly rare, not very.
It is rare.
It's not, you're much more likely to have, especially if like you're very gifted. There's this transient energy around that because you sort of you walk a little bit closer to that veil, so they find familiarity in your spaces and where you are.
Yeah.
So everyone loves a braggy, like, and myself included, little, oh, how intuitive. Some people, there would be an argument of like, the more ghosts, the more in touch you are. And I'm not saying that's what it should be, but I'm saying like, we can look at it as, oh, how interesting.
Right.
But that's not for here.
Right.
This is my home. Like, oh, how curious. I don't know why you stopped by. Maybe you think I'm interesting. Maybe you think my kids are interesting. Maybe my cats make you laugh. Right. But fundamentally, this is my space. This is my world. This is my playground. I have dominion here. It's really important to remember that step one, because I think a lot of the concerns would dissipate if you just realize, yeah, you're not supposed to be here, but I can get you out because this is my world.
Bingo. Sounds to me like you're talking about empowerment. I love that. So maybe first aid should be also, parentheses, first aid to empowerment. It's to getting you to where you can be, because you're right. We are supposed to take dominion over the things that go bump in the night to keep ourselves safe. It doesn't mean we're all going to be demon hunters. We don't have to go there and chase them down, but we can certainly clear our home. And so the first aid is really about just kind of giving you some helpful hints, some pointers that may not be readily available when you're in a state of chaos, when your mind is chaotic, trying to figure out what to do, just like the coffee all over the proverbial blouse. What do I do? Well, you got to have to wash it. Yeah, there you go. So you have to clear it somehow. And so this first aid, it really, I believe, is going to be kind of written in such that the chapters are going in the class. I am going to teach this class. I'm actually getting it ready for October.
Oh, good.
So I'm excited
I would love to
about
go to
it.
That.
I don't know yet how it's going to play out. My guides may shoot it down, and I'll be standing there going, okay, tonight's class is, I don't know.
So this is Neosporin. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, exactly. Neosporin and some bandages. Here we
Yes.
go. Who's doing first aid? Oh dear God, I hope not. But
And then you look behind you, a band-aid just floating. You're like, all right, well now
yeah, you're like,
this has
okay,
gotten away from me.
I love
No,
it.
it'll be great.
Well, and it does lend itself into many other experiences. Because, at first when I was thinking that, I was like, okay, this is a great idea. It's real cool. Let's make this work. Let's rock this. And then I'm like, okay, other than that, what else do we talk about? What do I put? So then I got really crafty and creative and a little snippy and snide, probably. So one thing that came up, I was like, well, what if you have, say, and I'm going to say it like I heard it. So again, blame me because I'm the articulator, but I did hear this from my guides. Well, what if you have an instructor who's very pushy, who wants you to listen as you're going through all this wonderful spiritual work and you're learning this and you're learning that and everything is like kumbaya or at least sufficient as best as you believe. What if you have someone who's trying to give you the message that there's only one way to feel?
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to leave that. And I have had people come to me and go, I don't know what to do because I've heard so many opposing sides here. And I said, well, which one are you, which side are you sitting on? Are you sitting on the home team or the other team? Which one are you sitting on? What is it for you?
Mm-hmm.
And that blows them away because they start to feel that they don't really have a say, that the instruction is black and white and 100% true. Well, unless you're adding up numbers, really, there's always a little twist to everything. Same with me. And I say, if it doesn't resonate with you, then, go to me and 400 others. I don't care. I want you to get the best of the knowledge. And it may not be from me. Okay? Even though I don't know why. I'm just kidding. Just want to see if you're paying attention.
Well, and too, with what you just said, where it's like, it's what works for you.
Yeah.
There's so much intention behind that spiritual safety so like I have a wand that your son made me. It's beautiful.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And so here's what I know about it on a physical level. Someone I care about very much made it for me, made it with the intention that it be powerful, and really didn't denote what it needed to be powerful for.
Right.
And so then I have that luxury and that responsibility to, and it just sits there. It's that, but if I wanted to, I could meditate and I could say, in the worst case scenario, that's my, punch the box to get the fire extinguisher. And I really won't touch it up until that time occurs. But I know, and we know, and everyone in the energy knows what that's for. Well, now it has become that for me.
Yes.
To a degree.
Yes. And that makes sense. It's not where someone else should step in and say, listen, if you have this, first and foremost, it's probably bad that you have it because I don't believe in wands. And that's we don't play with that kind of, deception and trickery and witchery, blah, 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 blah. Then it takes away all the fun of it. I mean, really,
Yeah.
I am never going to go flick and swish. Now, I'll watch Harry Potter every day of the week. I think he's funny as hell, or heck, wherever you're coming from. But I'm not the flick and swish gal.
Me either.
But I want this really beautiful mahogany or walnut case where I could put every flavor of wood, all the exotic flavors, I can't wait. I want it so badly. But why? Is it going to give me all this extra power, boost my spirit? Or is it going to be, again, maybe the stick that breaks the glass of the fire alarm?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter.
Yes.
You're not in harm's way. There is no cut. You don't need a Band-Aid. Do you see?
Man, amen. And you don't have to go to the River Jordan to get that water to clean. You know what I mean? Like you can, hate to break it, but you can charge up tap water.
I know, for all the listeners out there that are having a coronary right now, I don't do it, but I have. I have in the past. I'll stick to that. But I don't use it now because I use it a lot for clearings, and there's a part of me that's like, was I fully awake when I did that? So I want the River of Jordan or Genevieve or whomever the good stuff comes from.
Yes, the good stuff. Where's your holy water dealer?
Yeah, I know, exactly. By the dumpster, the latest and greatest, And
we're not being disrespectful. We very much respect. We're just teasing.
We're having fun, folks. That's one thing about
Friday.
us. It's Friday. We're not poking fun at anybody. We're just literally saying, listen, a lot of times we try to over-treat things that don't exist. Okay. Just
Mhm.
like I said, there's no cut, there's no band-aid. But if you
Mhm.
think there needs to be, there's a part of you that can get some feedback that says, hey, think about this. Does it bring you joy? Does it bring you happiness? Is it hurting anybody? If the answer is no, okay,
Mhm.
keep it,
Yes.
you know?
I love you.
So,
Okay.
well, and it is true about pushy instructors. I've been with pushy instructors, and I'm not really. If you have a problem, and I love you all, kumbaya, but if you have a problem with me saying that, then you probably are the problem. Otherwise, you would, it's true.
Terry's going to war today. I'm just kidding.
But it's true. If you have a problem with me saying you're a pushy teacher, then you probably are a pushy teacher, right? If it's
Mhm.
offending you, you're resonating with it.
Mhm.
And I am very vocal and I am very forceful. And sometimes sometimes it goes with you need to do this, but it's not from me. It's from spirit, and you can write them off if you care. I don't care.
Correct. Exactly.
You know. But
Yes.
really, use good judgment. Use good judgment. There are many different ways to give a message, and there's 100 different ways to teach a class. So don't feel if there's something that makes you uncomfortable that is the answer to the style or the method that works for you.
And I don't know why I'm being led to say this in particular, but if for whatever reason the color green,
Hmm.
so if you're in a class, right,
Hmm.
and that happens to be, say you're trying to work on and open up and do some work with the heart chakra,
Yes.
but the person that you're working with was abused in a green
Yeah.
room. And so all that color is to them is it shuts them down. It does, and so you can yell at them and say you have to envision green. It's the heart chakra that's known to be green. You've got somebody pretty catatonic at the end of it saying, I hate this color. Don't really know why. Probably because I was abused in this room that maybe I'm
Right.
connecting with that, maybe I'm not. And the point
Yes.
just being, well, then you got to pick a comfortable that you enjoy and feel comfortable with to do any work of love and healing. So that's where you could, a prime example of, then does the color really matter? It helps some people,
Yeah. It doesn't really
but it's so
matter.
personal.
It is so personal, and yes, that's very well stated. I love that because that's you cannot possibly 100% know where your student or your client or your friend or the person that's sitting across from you where they've been. You can have some understanding usually, but you can't be so rigid with your belief system that or in your way that you just think it's the only answer, because
Mhm.
you're absolutely right. We certainly don't want to create more trauma in a
Mhm.
traumatic situation. My guides are driving me nuts. And so I have to say this. They're saying it's just like if someone, I don't know why you're even thinking this, but that's okay. They said, it's just like if you want to go get a dog, right? And you go to the shelter and someone says, no, you'll have to take this dog because this is a dog that's for you. This is the only dog that'll work.
Mhm.
And you're looking at that dog and you're thinking, I don't think that's a dog. And they're going, no, this is a dog that's going to work for you. I know it's got long legs and weird ears. It's a dog for you. And you think, okay, because someone told me that, okay. And you bring it home and it's a coyote. So it doesn't work for you. Thank you.
And you'll feel that.
Yeah.
Most of us do. It's like
Yes, we do.
when it comes to metaphysical things, I would say really get a good knowing of your gut, and that will help keep you safe because
Yeah.
you'll be resistant to what doesn't. If your knee jerk is, I don't know about that, lean in.
Right.
You may
Lean
not
in.
come up with an answer for why you
Yep.
felt that way, but
Yes.
let's just assume you and your guides and your energy knows best.
That's exactly right. Again, there's so many different methodologies and so many different ways. For me, when I'm helping people clear the root chakra, my first go-to is do the shimmy shimmy because that's my personality. The shimmy shimmy is a little bit of a dance, get your hips a moving and a wiggling. But you can jump rope, you can hula hoop, you can go to the latest and greatest, dance mob if you want. It's really a different technique. Don't mean they're all wrong or one is
Mhm.
right versus the other ones. So again, be mindful of those that try to persuade you in such a way that their opinion is the only one you need to listen to, because that causes a whole lot of other issues that snowball later.
Mhm. And I feel like the chakra thing is a perfect example because there are very real ways to address that topic from the perspective of mudras, from the perspective of the vocal abilities to call the name of them.
Yes. Yes.
And that knowledge is incredible and it's
It
valuable
is.
and it's very
Beautiful.
worth knowing.
Yes.
But if you're just trying to make it between two jobs and you feel like you're out of whack and you don't know the mudras and you don't know the, Sanskrit names of it, but you know where they are and you kind of can see it in your mind's eye, you know enough to have your desires at play, which is, hey,
Yes.
just help me get in alignment, just help me get these evened out a little bit, and then you're off to your second job. So you see
That's
how it's like these aren't. I wouldn't say that some knowledge. Obviously, you need to know what it is you're trying to address, but you don't
right.
have to. It doesn't have to be like PhD level gnosis.
No. No, it's a good thing because you remember I always lead with love first. Wisdom
Hmm.
second. And
Yes.
and you say the mudras in for different chants, for one thing, and I'm gonna embarrass myself for a moment. I'm fine with that. I've done it many times today. When I was doing the sham, I did that ham. And then I realized it's not ham.
And then
But
you said the turkey.
and
Just
I said the
kidding.
turkey. And then I
And the
realized
stuffing.
that somebody was probably rolling their eyes in the spirit world going, we'll let her have this one. Oh, well, whatever.
Yeah. That's an excellent point. They don't expect us to be perfect with
They
it.
don't expect us to be perfect.
I love that actually.
And, and I was, even when I said it, I was like, is that what it is?
Yeah.
I gotta be careful. I might be training that someday. Everyone's start, your favorite
Have you
luncheon meat.
have you seen that lady? She's I believe she's in in the middle of a sermon at church, but she's like yams, jams, potatoes, tomatoes.
I love it.
She's
Hey,
just
whatever
rapping
gets you
it out.
groove. Rapping it out. That's what I call my version of light language. Bring me the
Yeah.
picnic.
1,000,000%. No,
Yeah.
I love
That's
that. I
all
love that.
good.
Now we hungry.
Now we hungry. Oh my gosh, we do have a lot of fun, folks.
Perceptions, we got to eat our pizza. Come on.
Come on, pizza. Come on, perceptions. It's in your mouth. It's mushrooms. I love it. Oh my gosh, I
Me
love it.
too.
So it sounds to me like you're saying that there's a potential for there to be a difference of opinion, but it doesn't mean that everyone's wrong and only one's right, right? Yeah.
Very true.
Or a different set of skills or different, study that came about with certain, topics. So we do know that there is some wiggle room. I had a perfect example of kind of what we were talking about. And it was very interesting because I had an opportunity to do the wrong thing. Okay. And I'm glad I did do the wrong thing. I could have done the wrong thing. But I chose not to as an instructor. And this is what, again, sometimes we get in these situations where, the flow is before we know, we just get stuck.
Mhm.
But I was going to we were talking about the lower world. So we were doing a meditation to the lower worlds on whatever Monday was this week. I think there was a day called that. We did this wonderful lower worlds, and the lower world is also known as the underworld in the shamanic journey. Okay, well, their take on the underworld is not our take on the underworld. That's a
No.
different explanation there. And so I had a student in the class, and we're all going to the lower world, and he's like, "Oh no, I'm not. I haven't
Yeah.
done anything to go to hell."
Right. Right.
And so what I could have done, which I didn't do, and I really am glad, I could have said, "Oh, you know better than that. Seriously, do you really think that there's a place called hell beneath you? We're going there. Let's just go see. How's that?"
Right. Right. Right.
I could have been very condescending, and I could have also given information that was a very strong opinion, right?
Yes.
And I could have also defamed or defaced, is it defaced or defamed? His whole belief system of his religious side, okay? And that was not up to me to do. So I simply made the statement, and my guides are so smart, because I'm just regurgitate what they say. I looked at him and I said, "We are going to the lower world. It isn't considered the lesser world, and I don't believe it's the world that you are looking at. However, if you prefer not to go to the lower world, you can modify it because we don't want you to feel afraid." Okay?
Mhm.
I mean, my belief system might not be someone else's belief system or vice versa. You know, I mean, when someone says, "Hey, we're going to the underworld, let's go," I may go, "Which, where, and from where?" But in shamanism, it's the lower world. That's where we leave our grief. We leave, you know, we heal. It's our shadow place. So that is an opinion. So we see we have to also give a little first aid about opinions. Just because someone has a very strong opinion of something doesn't mean that that opinion has factual evidence, if there's such thing, or is the only opinion. Okay?
And it's interesting because you might have somebody in a class or that comes to you and they'll swear up and down that not only have they been to hell and they've seen it and they've
Yeah.
remote viewed it, but the reality is very much like our current world, it's all available. Like there are
Yeah.
hellacious places on earth right now where hellacious things occur every day.
Yes.
And the vile, horrible things in the living, waking world. And then
Most
equally
definitely.
as possible are these places of divine love in the
That's
physical
right.
world.
That's right.
So when somebody has that experience, and you know, say I believe them, say I feel that this was an authentic meditation or place that they experienced, we have to also recognize that we, like we kind of talked about with the dreams,
Mhm.
we have a lot of control with where we go.
Yes.
So, you know, if
So,
you expect to go and find hell, there is a good chance you're going to maybe find yourself in something that mirrors your expectation
yes,
and
in your fears.
your fears. So,
And that's very true. Exactly. So I'm not going to be the person that says, you know, you're being silly, you know, you're being foolish, because they may go there and end up, you know, having a nervous breakdown in the middle of, you know, a session.
ugh.
So we do see that we have to apply a level of first aid when it comes to some of the things we hear, not only from the newbies, but from people that have been doing this a long time. I mean, there's a statement I hear quite often, and I have an answer for it, whether it's what they want to hear. I hear people say all the time, "I feel overwhelmed. There's so much I'm learning and so much I know. I feel overwhelmed with this." Well, I'm going to tell you something. If you're like me, you probably, well, hopefully you're not, you have a video game or two on your cell phone. And there are times that you get over practiced, overstimulated, overworked, and you get done that game and you're still seeing all those really cool seashells. And you're still looking for Mario.
Is that how
And
it
you
is for
still
you?
know that you're gonna bop something pretty soon like a bubble. Because it's pressed into your brain. And you can literally, you know, keep those thoughts as if you're actually still in the moment, because it's repetitiveness. I mean, that's how people get brainwashed. So be careful of that too. So if you're overwhelmed, take a break. You know, I tell my students this all the time, and I hope other people do. You know, if you're done with this part of the study, take a break. You don't need to submerge yourself in it nonstop. Take a break. Step back. I've come up with this passage of thought that when they're done a segment with me, I say take 2 weeks. Don't ask me what you need. Don't tell me what you need. Don't do that. You take 2 weeks and you go play and practice, and you decide if this is what you want to learn more of. If you don't, who's the wiser, right? If you've been gone for 2 weeks. So it helps people to become less submerged. It's
Yes.
good to learn, but becoming overstimulated with a lot of what we do can be very overwhelming.
And it does have an addictive quality to it.
Yes.
From the perspective of the reality about the majority of healthy metaphysical relationships with information and people is that it is innately optimistic about the potential of healing, optimistic about the potential of creating the future you want. So when you start to realize that there is this weird magic here that you spent all your life not believing in, and now you want to figure out how it all works.
Yes.
And the reality is that's like asking to learn the English language in this amount of time, because there's adverbs that do different things and nouns that do different things than these. So it's like, all right, we can just
Exactly.
it's a lot. I know it's a lot.
I
I've
still
done
haven't
that.
learned any of those, so I get it.
Again, you know, I know I said this a couple of episodes ago, but work through your guides. They will help gatekeep this process.
Yes.
Trust them.
And that's so very important. Take a little break. get things to make sense for you. I know it's an amazing journey what we do. And I submerge myself in it 7 days a week. I love what I do. And sometimes I hit the bricks and I know I've hit the bricks. And so I have to step back and go, okay, it's time to go for a walk, which I've had 2 3-mile walks the last 2 days. I'm
I
telling
love
you,
that.
you're not going to recognize
Let's
me.
go. Yes,
It's a good
ma'am.
thing because my doctor's like, you're very consistent. And I went, thank you. He said, no, that's not what I'm talking about. He said, look at the weight you've gained every consecutive 3
Stop
months.
it.
I swear to God. And I thought,
My God.
and I said, well, it seems to me like you're the problem. I'm not coming back.
Oh my God.
But no. So we do realize that we can't submerge ourselves fully in everything that we love and have a passion for because we're not being practical with the other things. You know, I
Mm-hmm.
had a client on Zoom yesterday. Sweet lady. Gosh, there's so many good people in this world. And I really have to know that and be reminded of that after I've been driving on the freeways here in Texas. There really are some good people still there that aren't driving out there. But anyway, really it's a whole nother story. But she was telling me that her husband had become obsessed. He wanted to be spiritual. And so he
Mm-hmm.
decided that the only real true way to do that was to go into complete meditation, which he did before he left her. He did it for about 6 to 8 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay, so then he leaves you because he is risen, ascended,
Mm-hmm.
and his inner voice is telling him to dissolve the marriage because he needs to be focused in his spirituality. I'm like, and my first question was, who else has he been talking to?
Well, right. I mean, that's either manic behavior or an excuse.
It's manic behavior. It's an excuse to ditch and run,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or you're right. It's manic obsessive behavior. You know, doing meditation for 6 to 8 hours a day, dear God, to me, that's more than I sleep at night. So how could you add that to the mix of a night's rest? But that individual, you know, kind of SOS, the SOS should have come out a lot sooner, right? Because this person became so absorbed in being found that he actually got lost.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God. If that's not, if that, if there were Terry Proverbs, like, I wish that happens in this world so often.
It does.
And it's normal, I think, almost at some level, but you
It
have
is.
to have a stopgap.
Yes. Brilliant. That's exactly right.
Oh, that's so sad.
And
Is he doing okay?
what's that?
Is he doing okay? Is she doing okay?
She, you know, she doesn't, well, what I said to her, my guidance for this wonderful soul, I said, you know, you hold your ground for now. If you're not ready to sign the papers over, hold your ground. You're a kind, loving soul. Let him stew in the fact that you're not on the same page as he is,
Mm-hmm.
because you don't even know what hit you. None of this makes sense. So hold your ground, wait it out a little bit, and see if he normalizes or whether he goes further off the deep end and maybe needs some help.
And even if he does come back from something of this nature, there's been a lot of trust that's broken from the perspective of out of
Yeah,
nowhere you just dipped. Like,
no.
that's complicated.
You know, and it's hard to know when to let go of the proverbial string on the balloon, the helium balloon, right?
And with that topic, and again, this is perfect. That is a perfect situation where I would say, okay, this person needs help. They need first aid. And and obviously they're passionate about it. So if they're sitting
Yes.
in front of me, what I'm not going to do is tell them, oh my gosh, you're ridiculous even though that's a lot,
You're like,
you're
oh,
not going to discredit the work that they're trying to do, because to
mm-mm.
them, they're knee deep in the trenches of getting this work done, and they're
Yes.
self-developing, and they're about to find their higher self, or 5 of them.
Or 5 of them. Yes, exactly.
But what the gentle, it's almost like when somebody's in that zone, in that level of unhealth, you have this opportunity of subtle shots, right? Subtle
Yes.
ideas that you can just try to interject, because you can't rip down the delusion, because
Yep.
they're going to fight you, and they're not going to believe
That's
anything
right.
else you say. So you
Yep.
lose your ability to heal.
Yep.
So I would say things like, we have and I do say this, we have a responsibility to the waking non-spiritual world. We have a
Yes.
job, we've got a physical body. We have to, and we, for as much work as we do in the spiritual,
Mm-hmm.
nothing gets logged until we act it out in this world. Like the other
Right.
episode when we said, living life as a play. It's like
Yes.
I can go up here and say, I'm a good person. I'm a good person. I've healed my inner child and I'm going to treat everyone well.
Yep.
And I've meditated 68 hours on the top subject of kindness.
Right.
But if you don't act that out in the physical form and force yourself to be around people, because I notice a lot of people who get really, really spiritual can sometimes get very hermit-like and reclusive. And I know the hermit card is something, but the idea with that card is, and then he emerges with knowledge. You don't get stuck
Right.
there. It's
Right.
not
You
you in
don't
the
get stuck
cave
there.
forever, because we have to do our due diligence to the physical world.
Yeah.
And that sort
That's
of
right.
gets people to understand maybe they've not done something so wrong by being so engaged, but you can't go dive into spirituality because your marriage is falling apart and you don't want to deal with it.
Exactly.
But you
Right.
can't say that. I mean, that's not part of the
Well,
medicine, I promise.
and you don't know which came first, the cart or the horse in that situation. And you don't
Mhm.
know where where it began. The only thing you can do, if I was working directly with him as someone that would be a spiritual, life coach, I would have to go into the trenches with him and have a seat there where he is, kind of the proverbial rabbit hole. We have to go into the hermit's life to go say, okay, here I am. What?
And did I tell you about the client that was it took me a little bit to, maybe I talked about this last episode, so if so I'll cut this, but it was about 20 minutes into a 30-minute thing where when I realized she was not with with the reality that I perceived.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of, everything had seemed so normal, and then suddenly there's this conspiracy against this woman that she met at a women's recovery shelter that she knew one day. And now she feels that she's deceased. And I finally asked, I guess my guides were like, you should figure out why she thinks, and online psychics told her that. So now I realize, and immediately all the messages were just, you're doing great. You need to get things in order. Life is, you're back on your feet, stay on your feet. Because it was just like, this is not even the real problem here. And it's taking up all of her time and emotional energy.
Wow. She's got a bigger situation going on. She's got to release that energy. She's got to release the person she feels kind of bound to or blinded to. I mean, that's kind of.
Well, and that's what I told, I said, that was on some level, I said, no matter where this energy is, alive or dead, with us or not with us, what if this person cares for you, and you are a soul that deserves to be cared for.
Right.
So it wouldn't surprise me. They would need you to make sure that you stay on your feet because you recently weren't.
Yes.
It's very important that you be so.
Yes.
And that's the only thing you can say.
It's the only thing you can say. And
Bless
it
her
does
heart.
make it hard. It does make it hard to know what's the right thing. And, we do have to listen carefully as best as we can to what the messages that we're hearing are from our team. But you're right. That's an example of, you kind of have to go sit with them where they're at to know that they're sitting in a very unhealthy spot.
And maybe that's something too that practitioners struggle with.
Well, it's no fun. Again, we're trained, wherever, when we say trained, wherever the modality of training is, whether it's healing modalities or other sources, we're told, you can't really get into anyone else's energy. But so if you can't do that, how are you going to go down the rabbit holes? How are you going to find out how to help them?
Yeah.
I get the drift of that. I understand that. You don't want to walk away with their problem, but dang, if you're afraid of walking away with their problem, you ain't ready to do this work.
Amen.
Thank you're not
that
ready
is
to do
such a
this
great
work.
point, because that's not how it works.
No.
Not if you know what your rights are.
No, you end up all sorts of crazy if you do this and you're not in the right energy for that. I mean, that's, wow. Yes, it gives me goosebumps. Whew. Maybe I'm losing my mind. I don't know. I'm in a feisty mood tonight.
Same. No, I
feel like I want to go ride around on the freeway tonight. Get all those people who are speeding.
Well, it's one of those things where it's a lot of these injuries, right? These spiritual injuries that we do hear about and we have empathy for, because but almost every single time, it's a fear-based energy that they're manifesting themselves. So is the injury real? Yes. Or is this person now sick all the time because they believe that they have an attachment when they don't? That's real. So
Yes.
really, even if they don't have an attachment, their belief that they do and that now they swear by, that
Yes.
has a result of making them feel disempowered, weaker, smaller,
Yep.
and then your physical body is going to follow suit. Immune system lowers. It's just like
That's
you've
right.
got to be careful with these strong beliefs that you really want to make sure are like legitimate for
That's
you.
exactly right. And it goes back to one of our other episodes when we talked about people that are going to remove curses for an exorbitant amount of money. They want
For
you to
your
fear
whole
monger.
life savings.
Yeah, your whole life savings. And you can come
Just a
back every
cheap
30
cost.
days. Yeah, just to check, just to make sure it's still gone.
Yeah.
That's fear mongering. And it's just someone who's a little weaker in their ways. They're going to see that as hope and an answer. And oh my gosh, I only have to give them $1,000, and they're going to take it away from me. But they tell me I could get it back if I'm not careful. But they won't tell me how to be careful. Of course they won't, because you don't have a curse in the first place. Most of them. Now, do I believe in other curses? And that's a whole nother story. I've got clients that do, and I have to walk that walk to see what I can find. But the ones that are trying to, get you for thousands of dollars, I have a big problem with that.
Well, and I would like to just interject a little bit of something with the narrative of that, right? When it gets real, when there is some
Yes.
external force at play.
Yep.
But I will say this, in the avenues of education that are available to you as far as metaphysics go, if our reality, which I do believe very strongly, acts like an algorithm, like an Instagram algorithm, what you focus on, you bring it'll show you more of.
Yes.
So if you sit there and you choose to spend 4 months studying curses, you're going to start to notice or fear, and that's what I'm saying. You're going to start to fear that you have someone looked at you sideways. Was that the evil eye? Am I now cursed?
Right.
And now you think you are, simply because you've been focusing on this topic and you're so interested in, which I respect and I understand,
Yes.
because you just want to know how things work.
That's
now
right.
You've brought this fear and you've grown a monster of it.
Right.
That really was just, the origin was a very innocent curiosity, and then it kind of got too much, and then before you know it, now you think everyone's ready to curse you or everyone has a curse. So be mindful about the way the universe works with these algorithms, where it's like, if you're going to focus on curses, pick another topic as well, like empowerment or healing that you learn in tandem.
Or the lottery.
Try to help. Right.
Like get the real good stuff.
Yeah. It's so we have a lot of responsibility.
We do. And you're absolutely right. What you focus on, that it is an algorithm, that brings it towards you. It brings it more, in your, kind of in your reality. And so be positive. Try to find something about any situation that seems a little scary or off-putting or uncertain, and try to make it positive. I get a lot of, I probably get 100 of these kind of things a week. Someone told me that I have an alien attachment. Okay.
And my first,
what's that?
They told you that?
No, that my client said that they did. No.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
Someone texted me and said, I've been told that I have an alien attachment. I said, cool. You want one?
That's not the response they want.
No, that's not what they were. That wasn't it at all. I think they were ready for me to go.
Up on a martini. You're like,
yeah. Start doing, light language on text messages and clear it,
It's just a lightning emoji.
Yeah.
Lord have mercy.
I was a little tempted to send all the little alien, I love all those little emojis.
Stop.
I was like, I could. There's spaceships and there's little green aliens. What a heyday. But no, I said, okay, is that what you want? Well, of course not. Okay. What makes you think you have it? I was told. Do you believe it? If you don't want it, it's kind of like if someone looked at me and said, you have, oh, heck, I don't know, athlete's foot. I would go, no, I don't. Do I want it? No. Do you see?
Mm-hmm.
What she was afraid of was that statement was 100% accurate, and she had no free will about it. That she had it, and now she was going to have to live with this new roommate of hers, right?
Which is such a scary, invasive thing to have to think about. Like,
yes.
All jokes aside, if you get told that, and I have had that happen, I ran to you after a very destructive weekend,
Mhm.
just like, oh my, destroyed almost. And somebody had basically told me that I'd had an attachment from childhood that watched me when I slept. And I'd been training under you. So for that to be true, and I trusted who said it for some unknown reason. It's very young in the game, I would argue. But I knew enough from you that the guides shouldn't have allowed that
Mm-mm.
if I have strength, which I know I do. And so that's what I grappled with until I got back to class with you was I'm so scared because how could this thing be in my home where I sleep, the most vulnerable thing you can do? I mean, I was pretty gutted. It was really, really scary.
Sure. And again, you can create your thoughts. So the next thing you would have had is a boogeyman in your bedroom. And that would
Yeah.
have been your proof, right? Oh, God, it's true. Because look, there he is. I see him now every night. Because that's what you're expecting.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm going to tell you, anyone, and I mean this carte blanche, if you're my friend and you've said this, shame on you, poo-poo. If you've ever said to anybody that you've had an attachment all your life and it watches you when you sleep, come to my office so I can personally slap you. Because that is not correct. That is a horrible, horrible thing to leave a thought with, or a person with that thought. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's like saying you can't do a thing about it. Your free will's out the window. You're being stalked at
Exactly.
night. Ooh, look at that creeper in your bedroom. And that's fun or funny, or that seems to be reasonable. No, it doesn't. It's
And
not
if
a
you have
parlor
any
trick.
and if you have any darkness in your past, it could be easy to believe. It could be easy to
Yeah,
say maybe that's why those things happened to me. So it's
yeah.
very like you can't
It's scary because you could have also had someone that you were seeing who was staying there, and you could think, maybe they brought it out in me. Oh my God, I need to get rid of them now because the attachment doesn't like them. Seriously? But we do see that. And it's hard because we want to do our best to help you in all situations. And we're not perfect, and we're not bashing everybody because we expect them to be. We're not. But be realistic, people. Don't tell people that they have all this ugly stuff and then send them out with a thank you, have a nice day.
and the reason that people like Terry, you and me potentially that we would ever be contacted to do these clearings, to do this sort of work with your energy is just for one reason, I would argue, is that we just have a decent understanding of what the rules to the energy manipulation are, what the rules are when you ask someone to clear,
Yes.
get out of your house. But the
Yes.
actual
Yes.
reality is
Hmm.
you can too if you learn that skill set / control of your own energy.
Right.
And
Which,
so we're not actually that important.
no. If we seriously, you wouldn't even need me to come clear your house if you read my first aid book that I haven't written yet. Because then you would be able to be, do it yourselfer. And again, I don't want you to do that because that's,
The DIY clearing.
yeah, that's right. Exactly. So more than anything, folks, we're really talking about these are things we don't want you to get caught up in every person is 100% telling you exactly the truth. And it's not that
Mhm.
they're intending to lie, but the information that they are being provided may not necessarily be what it is. They may be the most talented soul in the world, but using good judgment, you've got to keep it smart. You can't, you don't know if that person's going to jump off a bridge on the way home, right?
Exactly.
I mean, you don't know. I mean, someone may have been, molested horribly by their father, and now they think the boogeyman that's been with them all their life is their dad as an attachment.
And Lord have mercy if that happens because there is karma for that.
There
When
is
you
karma. There is
So
karma.
as practitioners, we have or whatever you want to education oriented
Yep.
people or leaders, if these spiritual leaders, if your counsel, and that's why we must be very careful with the counsel we give because we bear the mark of the outcome.
Yes, we
And
do.
so we never tell people how to live their life. We try to give them options. We try to help them understand what certain outcomes might look like. But we are very careful to never infringe free will because there are punishments to that in
There's
this world.
punishments to that. And again, I talk fast and I talk a lot, and sometimes it sounds like I'm going, you need to do this, you need to do that. And I recognize that. And heaven forbid the day that I get so crazy with that because I'm hearing it
Terri,
wrong. My
I
guides are
listen
not going to steer you in a wrong direction.
audience, I
I
have
always
listened to
can hear them.
100 of her
Otherwise, I'll
readings,
stop doing what I
and
do
they are the least
because this
demanding
is
or
known for
forceful.
entertainment purposes only.
I
Right.
think you are one of the most option-giving, kind, like, not demanding. I've listened to so many of your readings, so I would just like to say, please no. I feel like if that's something to condemn, I'm 8-10 speeds ahead, and I should slow down. You're very, very good at that. You're very
Well, I'm grateful.
aware.
I'm truly grateful. I listen very well to my guides. That's one of my gifts, and I am so grateful for that. And so I
Yes.
try really hard to always say it like I hear it. So, sometimes I think I pay more attention to them than I do the real world. Or not the real world, but our earthbound world. Let's get real.
And I know we're gonna. I wanted. You taught me this a long time ago, but I think this is very important when it comes to. It's sort of I would consider it spiritual first aid, but it's the practice of expanding your energy to not to dominate your surroundings so much, but to relieve yourself from the feeling of either high anxiety or you're feeling aggression, a nonverbal aggression from the other room. Someone's mad at you. There's and one of the things you taught me was essentially breathing in for 4 count and breathing and holding it for 4 and then breathing out. And essentially every time, the way you described it was every time you breathe in and hold, your energy basically almost like flaps its wings or unfurls a
Yes.
little bit more, and then it unfurls more. And
Yes.
so if you're just kind of really stressed out and overwhelmed, because this world is stressful and overwhelming,
Yes, it is.
that has it. And especially one of the things, like for me, when you first taught me that, if I felt threatened or if I felt irritated, I would do that not to make anyone else feel it, but so that I felt like, okay, at least I can handle this. My
Yeah.
energy's as out as it can be.
Yes.
Let's take it on, whatever it is.
Exactly. And that's the point of that. Oftentimes when we feel that we're being challenged and there's a struggle there, the first thing we do, which is really unhealthy in a lot of cases, is that we recoil. We tune into our own self, we cocoon. And that's great
Mhm.
for instances, that's great for situations. But when we turn inside and we don't come out, then we have problems because that's when our self-esteem goes down the toilet. That's when we
Mhm.
don't trust anything that comes from our own energy. So we have to be in a position where we can expand it. And I love the fact that you remember these things. When I get older and I get forgetful, you can get to teach me.
No, no.
Oh, I
Do not
remember
be
anything.
ridiculous.
But what it does is it really does help you to kind of feel that you've got this. It's a level of empowerment. So it's so important.
Do you feel intuitively sometimes, because I can't see things the way that you see them, as far as the visual gifts? When you see somebody walking down the street, can you feel like how the depth of their energy, how wide out it is versus how tucked close and private? Like, and what do you feel the most standard, if you could envision, out from their body, it really typically can be or
About an
is?
inch or two.
And that's good.
That's good.
Okay.
When I look at people with very tight auras, I wonder what they're afraid of or hiding. I wonder why they are afraid to experience their own life. It's a protective thing.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
You keep it real. No, but
Oh
that's okay.
no, I'm sorry.
No, I'm just no. That's so interesting. Okay, perfect. I was just curious because you do. I mean, I do wonder those things. And then, do you feel when there is an energy, an injury, an energy? Try that 10 times fast.
Yeah.
An energy injury. How does that show up? Does it ever, or does that just show up as that tightness, or can you sometimes
Sometimes it
see it?
shows up in the color of it. Sometimes it's murky. Sometimes it's muddy. Sometimes it's jagged. Sometimes it looks like it's kind of, like the sides have been run into. It's, the boundaries are all distorted and the colors are
Interesting.
merged.
Wow, that's so interesting.
There's ways of seeing. You can also see someone who's worked on it, like that hasn't completely cleared that problem, but it's done a lot of work, because you'll see some patches in their aura that are real bright and others that are muted, and that's like, you go girl, you go guy, you're doing it. Keep going around the circle because you've got it, and you
I
can
love
see
that.
that they're doing some work. it's
I
really
love
cool
that.
to see, people healing from trauma because there's just so incredibly sad situations, so incredibly much of pain and distortion in our world.
I just want to speak on this briefly, because this is actually a detailed, understood medical use almost in spirituality. But we talked about the lower world, and we've
Yes.
touched on this before. But what's your opinion on the middle world soul retrievals?
Well, oftentimes I don't do soul retrievals in the middle world because middle world to me is the world we live in. So as I'm going to go into more soul retrieval, if we have soul loss, we tend to go to the lower worlds to solve it. So the middle
Okay.
world is where we get it.
Oh
The, mi-
yeah, right.
the middle world is the world that we get all the problems with our soul, that we get all the issues. Um, so the middle world to me is the most dangerous of them all because it's the one we live in. Really, it's where
Mm-hmm.
all the chaos can unfortunately grow. And so in that particular environment, I usually do where we're planting seeds of growth, seeds of change. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we're planting weeds, and sometimes we need them all ripped out and plant them again. Or sometimes we don't tend to them and they just grow into weeds anyway. So, soul loss, there's a whole, and such an amazing direction too. Soul loss is a very real thing. When I first heard that expression, I thought, I didn't lose any soul. What are you talking about? I got my soul. What's wrong with you
Right.
people? And it offended me because I thought I've done too much work for my soul not to be all intact.
Mm-hmm.
But trauma can create that trauma, and a lot of just abuse or whatever the trauma may be can cause soul loss, but it can also cause you can have soul reversal of the loss.
Of
You
course.
can build this back together. You can cause, and we know it can cause defragmentation, but you can build back to that. So the middle world is where you really do repair it.
Mm-hmm. And an example, I think, if the soul were essentially maybe like, let's say, an orb of light,
Yes.
it is not, and say make that imagery crystalline. So if you drop it on the ground, it could shatter. But the reality is, yes, I definitely 1,000,000% know and believe that there are shards that can be left behind.
Yes.
But I also have a very strong belief that even if you never go and walk the halls of your past and the trauma and go pick those shards up, we have we have this regenerative ability to say, well, maybe the version of me that was super extroverted and just was chatty Cathy,
Hmm.
maybe I've really come to be quite happy with the reserve. Like maybe I'm only like that with my close friends.
Hmm.
Maybe with that shard, I'd be like that with everybody, but I'm actually I'm happy. I'm okay with that.
Hmm.
Or then maybe you meet somebody and they get you into stand-up comedy. And now you've
Yes.
repaired that part of yourself without having to go do that. That's true too. So
It is very
don't
true.
feel it's one way to skin a rabbit to go and find it, and it's beautiful, and I've done it, and I think it's amazing. I also think I've done a version of the healing where I just had to regrow part of my soul and have faith that it would.
Absolutely. Tending to the garden of the middle world, tending to who you are now. And
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer of that too. There are a lot of trauma creates a personality too. Good and bad
Mm,
trauma create personality. Of course,
yes.
what is a good trauma? But you know what I mean? Experiences create personality. And
Mhm.
yes, there are certain things that we do want to correct and make better when there's pain and suffering. But we all come to this earth with lessons to learn. We don't come here perfect. We're not all this, oh my gosh, all bandaged up and ready to go. We're really just here to experience. We're here to go through the dings and the bangs, to go through life's trauma. We sign up for it. And I know that that's a whole nother, subject and time frame. But so much of what we deal with, there's there are many ways to go through the experience of healing. And
Mhm.
if going to the lower world works well for you to retrieve or to release, then do it. It is a beautiful process. But there's so many other ways of doing it as well.
Mhm. And I'll never forget, and I think I'll always use this now, but that play analogy. And so if we flip through your pages and on page 5 of the play you were supposed to be stabbed in the stomach by a medieval sword, then you probably won't be able to go back into into the middle world and go collect a piece of your soul because you didn't lose it there. That was
No.
supposed to happen. And that gets into a dicey, predestined
Oh, I
free
know.
will
Isn't it
conversation.
delicious? It's so delicious. I love
And we
that.
won't
All
go
these.
there. We won't go there today.
No,
But
it's
you know,
true. You're right. You know, really, people just have wonder. It's such a spectacular journey. Have wonder, have curiosity, lead with fearlessness, but also common sense. Go to the limits, go to the directions that you're led to go to. But know that you are strong enough to deal with 95, 98% of what's out there anyway.
yes.
Don't worry about these attachments and everything else that people make money off from you from.
And know that the first aid kit is built into your energy. We don't have to just come out. We're not here fighting the good fight with no weapons. And we're also not here fighting the good fight without any healing capabilities within our own energy.
Right. We want to support you in any way we can, doing what we do as metaphysical people. I always say it wrong.
No, you're perfect.
But we want to help you. But the bottom line is, you're strong. You got more going on for you that's positive and good than you ever give yourself credit for. And that's across all levels. So people, you got this. If it doesn't feel right, don't go that path. Don't go to that instructor. Don't go down that way. You know what's up. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're great. And if you guys have questions about or you have a scenario where you would like insight on, leave it in the comments and we will address it. Yeah. That would be so fun. Not fun. Well, I mean, I guess people would be feeling nervous and anxious about what they're presenting, but it would be so nice for you and I to be able to give our real responses.
We'd love to do that. And as we get closer to the holidays, we do have an intention that we're setting to give you all an attachment for Christmas.
Yes, the attachment of faith in yourself.
Faith. And
I love you so much, Terri.
I love you so much. This is so much fun. Oh, Misty, we still have your sweater. I found it again.
Oh, no.
I feel like there's a movie, something about the sisterhood of the traveling
sweater. Yes.
I have the sisterhood of the sweater that just disappears and reappears in my closet. I have it.
Maybe he just wants to be with you more.
I think so. I mean, really, who wouldn't?
Next time I see you, you're just in the sweater.
Yeah, I wish. I wish I was that small.
No.
I'll have it over my head it'll be like a hat.
Mindy texted me the other day, and she said, we were talking in one of the podcasts, we'd been talking about heat and how it moves together, but I couldn't think of the word at the time. And she just texted me and she said thermodynamic, like what? And I knew exactly where she was in the podcast. And I just thought that was so cute.
That is wonderful. I love that. I love people getting involved. Mm-hmm. We're not saying we're 100% right with all this stuff. That's just not what we do. But we are trying to lead you to a healthy place where you can make conclusions of your own as well. And you can also laugh with us and join us and get some feedback and get some information. We don't know you're there unless you reach out. Let us know what's happening with you.
And all that information will be linked below.
Ooh, I like
come find us on YouTube. Come find us on Spotify.
Yes,
and
find us.
We'll keep doing us and you keep doing you.
Yeah, I love it. Yes, indeed. What a wonderful, I like that. What a wonderful ending. Everyone's going, yes, thumbs up.
I will see you next week, and we'll be back at it again.
We will. I can't wait. I might just sit at this computer until then.
I love you. Have a good night.
I love you too. Y'all had a great night, really. Make it amazing. You still got some time.
I agree. I love you. I love you. I love you. Bye.
Bye.